Kadosh, how are you? I wanted to share with you a beautiful, inspirational shiur that I read, which goes as follows. It once happened with a pair of friends. They got into an argument. They were neighbors. What happened is that everything started when they went foul. They were very good neighbors, very close, but then one of them wanted to do construction beside the other. We know how it is in Eretz Yisrael, that it's one on top of another. So if I'm going to take out part of my, whether it's going to be my porch, it's going to be on top of where you used to put your sukkah, I'm going to move something else, I might block a window, going back and forth. So one of the neighbors goes to his friend and he says, I'm very sorry, but I think you're wrong. And the other one didn't look eye to eye. So he went into Rosh Steinman and he tells Rosh Steinman, listen, right? I want to tell you the story. This is what's going on. What do you say? So Rosh Steinman comes and he starts keeping quiet. That's all, and he's very quiet. And finally he turns to him and he says, what about, why don't you actually be mevater? Why don't you just selkear, they say in Spanish? Why don't you just forgo? Forgive him. Just that's it. Let it go. Let bygones be bygones, as they say. So he went and he said, what? But I'm correct. So tells him Rav Steinman, I don't understand you. He smiles and he says, only when you're correct can you come and you forgo. If you are not correct, then mitzad adin you have to give in. Only when you are going to be correct, now you could come and you could forgive him and let him go. But if not, then for sure not. But I'm going to tell you right now that when you're going to give in, you will never lose. Something very similar happened with Rav Wosner, alav shalom. Rav Wosner, there was also one of the big poskim in Bnei Brak, Shut Shevet Levi. He comes and he had two neighbors that they came beside him and they were speaking to him. Finally, he comes and he tells them as follows. Do you know that there's a certain type of a chassidut? He says that what happened was that in Poland, the father, which he was the Admor, he was the Rebbe, he passed away. And there was going to be a huge machloket, a huge problem within the children. Why? There were two children. There was an older one and a younger one. Some people started saying, the older one, he's the Bechor, he should be the next Rebbe, he should be the next one in line. Other people were saying, no, the younger one is smarter, more serious, we have to get him, he's got more Yirat Shamayim. So what happened is that there was a rabbi there that he went and he told, right, this young son, he went and he told him, listen, you should know one thing. Without getting who's right and who's wrong, there's going to be a huge machloket. And it's not going to be good for the Ilui Neshama in memory of the Rebbe, of your dear father. So he says, instead of making such a machloket, I'm going to give you good advice. But listen carefully. Go, run away from the machloket. Go to Eretz Yisrael and make for your father a name. And continue the chassidut and be completely separate. But that's how you're going to build your father's name. He says you should know this young child, he actually listened and he ran away. He left everything behind. He let the older one be the Rebbe and he became his own Rebbe and he built with his 10 fingers, he built with his own hands the entire Keilah. Says you should know that the Holocaust came out and Bavonotenu Arabim, right? It wiped off everybody. The entire, the brother, the family, everyone was wiped off the map. But he says, but this person was able to come and to succeed. Says Rav Wosner, listen to these words. Nar hayiti gam zakanti. I was younger and now I became even older. But you should know after tens and tens of years of dayanut, of seeing and hora'am paskening, I would always look at the people that they went above and beyond the letter of the law, that they forgave their friends, that they gave in, that they forgo them, they went and they gave them everything. And what happened? You should know one thing. I never saw one of them lose in my entire life. That's the testimony of Rav Wosner, that a lot of people say that he was one of the poskim of the generation, right? Especially for the Ashkenazim. But even after Rav Vadia alav shalom passed away, they went to ask him a lot of questions as well. The Gemara in Bab Metzia, Taf Lamed Amud Bet says Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Lo charva Yerushalayim ela al shedanu badin Torah. Do you know why Yerushalayim was destroyed? Do you know why Jerusalem was torn down? He said, because they judged according to the Torah. The Gemara asks, so then how do you want to judge? If you're not going to judge like the Torah, how do you want to judge? So he says, so what? They're just going to judge however they want. Says the Gemara, Ela Ema, but you have to say, Shemidu dinehem al din Torah. They started paskening according to the exact letter of the law in the Torah. Velo avdu lifnim mishurat hadin. And they didn't go above the letter of the law. They didn't do anything above that. So now asks whether it's Maral Miprag, the Ben Ishchai and Ben Yehuda, and others. What, because of a Idur? Because of something, doing something above the letter of the law, because of that, Yerushalayim was going to be destroyed? How does that mean? How do you understand that? And even more, because the Tosfot already asked, we know, why was the second Bet HaMikdash destroyed? Sinat Chinam, hatred, for no reason. That's why it was destroyed. So you're going to tell me because they didn't go above the letter of the law? So the Maharal and other Achronim, they answer, and they say, no. It's true, there were all other Averot as well. However, though, when we were Ma'avirim al Mudyotenu, when we didn't go according to the letter of the law, when we didn't just say that we were right, this is the halakha and that's it. He says, when we were Ma'avirim al Mudyotenu, when we went and we forgot. We said, you know what, no, don't worry about it. I'm right, but it's okay. I'm going to let him do it. I'm going to have it. No problem. Let's do it. I'm going to let him have it. Why? Because I want the peace. I want to be above and go above beyond the letter of the law. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, midah, keneged midah, the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Lemia ve'vir al pesha. What does that mean? Amar Rava kol ma'avir midotav. Says Rav, anybody that's going to be ma'avir midotav, that they're not going to be so strict with their attributes. Ma'avirin al kol peshav. They're going to forgive him all of his sins. So says midah keneged midah. That's exactly what happened. When the Jews were nice to each other, when we were going above the letter of the law, even though we were doing all the avirot in the world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu also went above the letter of the law, and he didn't exact punishment upon us. But the second that the Jews came and we said, no, exactly the law's the law, what's written in the law, that's exactly what I'm going to do, all of a sudden HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if you want to act that way, I could also act that way. And therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu does exactly according to the letter of the law. This concept of lifnim mishurat hadin is actually written in our parasha. Because even though there's an entire chelek in Shulchan Aruch that says, which is Choshen Mishpat, which deals with money matters, we have to know who's correct in which scenarios. However, though, in our parasha it says, Ve'asita yashar ve'atov b'nei Hashem. We must do that which is right and justice and good in the eyes of Hashem. Lemani tavlach, that he will do good tasuvata, and you're going to come and you're going to inherit the good land. Rashi, he says, what is a yashar ve'atov? The good and the right, the justice, he says, shara lifnim mishurat hadin. Sometimes we will make compromises that are above the letter of the law. What does this mean exactly? The Ramban, Nachmanides, comes and he says as follows. Al derech hapshat, according to the exact concept of what we're saying in the simple explanation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, keep the Torah, the mitzvot, the edot, the chukim, the statutes, the attributes, everything, the laws, and do that which is good in the eyes of Hashem. So he says, Umani tavlach, it's a guarantee that when you're going to do this, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do the best. However, though the rabbis come and they teach us a midrash, and they say this is the pshara, what does that mean? That at the beginning, we have to follow exactly what is written in the Torah. And even that which is not written, pay attention to it. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves justice. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves when we go above and beyond. That's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves. It's not this shiur, but that's a concept in Mesiru Nefesh as well. When we do the utmost with all our dedication, we go above and beyond. That Mesiru Nefesh, we gave all our devotion. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays attention to. Because it's always the extra. That extra mile that we ran, that's what we're supposed to do. And this is the concept of the Torah. Why? The Torah cannot come and teach us every single act the way that we act with our friends. The Torah told us a minimum. Told us, don't speak lashon hara, don't take vengeance, don't stand by while your friend is suffering, Lo tekel, don't curse them. Stand up for your elderly, respect people. But then the Torah comes and tells you that there's something which is written in between the lines. Ben Ashurot, in between all the lines of the Torah, it's written one thing. You know what that is? It says, and that's what's brought down in the Gemara, B'Metzia Kufchet Amud Aleph, Pirkon na'ev dibruna b'nachat b'mrebiot, ad she'yikareh b'chol yan tam v'yashar. He says, do you know what is a person that is somebody that is good? He's always going above. He's always speaking nice to people. Everyone loves him until everyone says he's a good person. He's tam, he's innocent, he's yashar, he's straight, he's trustworthy. And that's the concept of bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah means the right of first refusal. If I've got a restaurant or I've got a house right beside mine and it's up for sale, I have the first scrabs in order to buy it. Why? It will utilize me much more than what it is it's going to utilize some stranger down the street. It would help me. I would be able to attach it to my house, advance, make much more things, enlarge in it. That's the concept behind it. But why? Because we're supposed to pay attention to this. This Yesod is already brought down in a lot of the Rishonim, whether it's the Magi Mishnah or the Rambam, when he says the concept of Bar Mitzvah, the Chavivim, Divrei Dodim, Yoter Mina Shel Torah, Kitovim Dodecha Miyayin, what's coming out from the rabbis is even much beautiful than what's written in the Torah in itself. Because when we act to our friends, to our brothers, to every single Jew like a brother, who's the happiest person in life? And he says at the end of the day, this is what we're supposed to do. And this is brought down in a lot of Rishonim, but I don't want to take a long time. But I just want to finish off by mentioning the following concept. In the street, there's something that's called, especially when traffic laws, they say, don't be right, don't be correct, be smart. What does that mean? Somebody's going to come and try to cut you off. Instead of trying to speed up and almost put your life in danger, put everyone's life in danger, right? Don't be correct, be smart. What does that mean? It's not only in traffic. That's not only in the street. That's in every single action that we have. Many times through life, we could run through life, and many times we have in front of us scenarios where we could be correct or we could be smart. Being correct is very simple, very easy. Many times we are correct, but do we go lifnim mishurat hadin? Are we smart? Do we say to ourselves, like the testimony of Rav Osner, tens of years in Dayanut and in judgments, where he would actually go after those people, looking to see whether they were going to gain by forgoing and giving it up or not, when according to the letter of the law, they were correct. And he said, I never saw one person that ever lost. Do we want to be correct or do we want to be smart? This is what we're supposed to understand. Do you know that the planet called Saturn is called Tzedek in Hebrew? Some people that say there's only one person that's Tzedek, that's only the planet. Other than that, don't try to beat Tzedek. Don't always try to beat Tzedek that you're always right. We always in ourselves have to understand that even though there's a Choshen Mishpat, there is a money matters, never try to get there. Always try to go to beforehand, that we're going to try to make a compromise beforehand. This in essence is what Rabbi Yonatan Ibeshitz comes and he says, that if we are going to come and we are going to do V'asita Yashar V'atov, we are going to do the good in the eyes of Hashem by compromising, by always forgoing and always making peace and giving up and always letting off. He says, you know what's going to happen? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is B'kirbecha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is amongst us and not a malach. Because a malach, a messenger, the angels cannot do lifnim mishurat hadin. An angel is a messenger. A messenger cannot change that which he was sent to do. Hashem could do lifnim mishurat hadin. Hashem could do above and beyond the letter of the law. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu comes and he tells HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want you to be the one that's directing Am Yisrael. I want you, just like you are Rachum v'Chanun. But we could only do that if we are V'asita Yashar V'atov Lifnei Hashem. If we are going to do that which is above and beyond the letter of the law. With this merit, Be'ezrat Hashem, by always making peace between one another, that even though sometimes we could be right, but all of a sudden we're going to come and we're going to say, no, we want to make peace. We want to become better people. And we want to always have peace between us. Be'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will always do Miftim Mishurat Hadin with us. Be'ezrat Hashem will be able to be rebuild the Yerushalayim on this Shabbat Nachamu, that we'll be able to be rebuild all the ruins of Yerushalayim. Be'ezrat Hashem, we should be able to be Zocheh To Mashiach's Kingdom, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful Shabbat.